Okay, the Human Resources Governance Committee recommend from the Vacancy Committee. The Vacancy Committee met on January the 8th, 2019, made the following recommendation. Refill vacant Assistant County Attorney position.
Second.
Somebody?
What, did I intend to hire?
Yes.
I discussed this with Attorney Christopher Lucchesi, who's indicated that he'd be willing to take the position. We had discussed with personnel at a salary of $72,500, which is slightly below the median position. He has about 5 years family court experience, and he's coming highly recommended by both Cuyahoga County and Seneca County family court clerks.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the rest of the committee? Yes, sir.
Is this position permanent?
Well, he would be under this. It's under the state normal. I believe it's a first assistant, it's a public officer appointment. I would consider it's a permanent. It's not necessarily probation. My understanding is that probationary doesn't apply to the position. I could be wrong.
I could be wrong.
Now, why doesn't probationary apply?
Because a public officer.
Why do we need this position?
Why do we need it?
Yeah.
Because it's very important to have somebody that's going to be working on the family court situation. That's what the assistant.
Basically, you're filling my position that I've now left to assume the position as county attorney.
Okay.
So that's all of the family court, all the DSS, DHS responsibilities, Medicare, etc., and supervising the paralegal for recoveries, etc.
Okay.
Yes.
Did the position that Chris Wald vacated, was that ever filled?
No, we're
right
still carrying that position open. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Mr. Sienkiewicz and I have discussed it. I mentioned this at the vacancy and at the operations committee, actually before Christmas, that we're looking at possibly filling essentially a hybrid half position through the DA's office and a half position through my office. With someone that can work the juvenile delinquencies, the PINs, the raise the A's issues, and then assist Mr. Sienkiewicz's office in probably the central arraignment, as well as possibly assisting in appeals work, etc.
Okay. So I just wanted to emphasize that right now you have nobody else in your office.
Right. I mean,
except you.
It's me. Right. I have a part-time paralegal and a confidential secretary. Yes.
Now, was that ever a hybrid position before?
Not the way it's currently constructed with the Department of Social Services and now having a law department. About 20 years ago, when I was an assistant district attorney, part-time position, the county got a grant through the Department of Social Services to fund a juvenile delinquency and PINs prosecutor to assist then DHS attorney Emil Bovey. So for a period of about a year, there was a foot in the Department of Social Services and a foot in the district attorney's office. But we haven't done that since then.
Do you see any conflicts that might cause?
Frankly, no. It would be no different than any other potential conflict within any other department within the county. We share an obligation, particularly now with the raise the age status for children or for youths going from 16 now to 17 next year. The raise the age by its nature is a hybrid process between family court, DHS, and the criminal court and the district attorney.
That's enough. I still have a concern over it though, so I will probably abstaining from that.
I mean, we're not talking about the hybrid position tonight. Literally tonight is essentially to fill the first assistant to take over the Department of Social Services, DHS, and family court responsibilities.
still have some questions.
Was that,
Thanks for your comments.
that dialogue was brought up, so I have some concern over it.
Over your committee vote, myself, Cindy, Ron McGreevy, Greg, and Trout. All those in favor of this nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, so noted. In the opinion of the chair of this committee, I think we just got it voted in. Thank you. That's all I have, unless there's... Oh, the other thing is we need to talk about here. We need to give our Human Resources Officer the permission to send out resumes to replace her, or to get resumes to replace her. She's going to be retiring in, I believe it's March. So we need to start trying to get some people's names so we can have somebody to interview in the near future. So I'll make that as a motion, I guess.
I'll second it. So you want her to be able to advertise?
Yes.
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
A smile on his face. See you later at the end.
Oh, yeah.
From year to year.
Nice. Okay.
Public safety?
Here to you.
Okay, Public Safety Committee called to order. Issue number 1, compensation acting district attorney. District Attorney of Service as Seneca County following input resignation of this district attorney, Mary L. Force, recommended by the committee of the Board of Supervisors following these resolutions. Any questions on this?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. The salary that is listed here, who sets that salary?
I know the state does.
Basically under judiciary law, and then set by the Office of Court Administration and the legislation.
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. It's established through the state, setting up the link between the district attorney's salaries and the judicial salaries. So it's based on the county judge's salary. And I believe there was some correspondence from Office of Court Administration and 7th Department last year that specified that.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
He's the chairman.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering if that stipulation on the full salary also applies to a temporary appointed, non-elected district attorney. He's a temporary appointment.
He's not temporary appointment. He's assumed the responsibilities of the district attorney upon the incumbent's resignation. He is, in the absence, he is the acting district attorney for Seneca County.
So he's entitled to the full salary then?
I didn't say that. That was the consensus that was discussed before. There is no specific statutory provision for it. There is case law, although old, which does support it. There's a case from Wayne County from 1960, I believe, when Judge Kehoe was sitting as the district, or excuse me, was then district attorney, assistant district attorney Kehoe, and his predecessor was elevated to the bench, and there is a determination made to the Comptroller's office that the acting district attorney is entitled to the pay of the incumbent.
Thank you for clearing that up.
There is no specific statutory provision for it.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
You have a question
Somebody
first?
asked me, go ahead, they're on this committee.
Well,
Are you on this committee?
yes, sir. I did have my hand raised.
I'm sorry.
I'll defer to Lee, then.
Okay, go ahead,
come back.
Mr. Davis.
I'm not trying to pick on you,
I don't.
but it's my understanding through some information that we received tonight that if this situation is, your county population is under 52,000 people,
Has nothing to do with that.
nothing to do with salary at all.
No. What you have is a local law that pins or that tied the salary of the district attorney to that of the county judge. Local Law 5 of 2000. So you have a local law that tied that in.
So what you're telling me then, and I'm long way from being an attorney, but what you're telling me is that we've got to go along with what the state says we should pay a district attorney and a judge, even with our population being less than a lot of the people in the state.
Correct. Because of local law 5.
There's nothing we can do to change that.
Nothing you can do until the election of the next district attorney in 2021. Because you can't impact, you cannot decrease the salary of the current, you can't go down. This, and for this, and to make sure you understand, we're dealing with the term of office, and Mr. Sinkowitz is in a position where there may be a special election next year, but that will only be to fill the position through the end of the existing term, which I believe is 21. Before it was the last election was in 17, so that's 18, 19, 20, and 21. So the next election is 21 for a term to commence in 22. And if you wanted to amend the local law in some way or do something else to impact the salary of the district attorney, that could be done. You would have to do an amendment or repeal Law 5 of 2000 and come up with something new.
I'm going to keep talking to you for a minute, County Attorney.
Okay.
Because I've been asked questions by several people.
Yeah.
And the other situation is, so we're obligated to pay Mr. Sinkowitz the $197,000.
The opinion that I gave back in December was that the law that applies doesn't specifically require that. But there is no, the only, if you want to call it case law or any interpretations of that law, basically disregard the county law and say that yes, you do. Which is why this resolution was drafted so that it's clearly understood that the county is providing that money as a position for the district, for the acting district attorney, and not as an automatic thing. That he is not getting paid as the district attorney, he is getting paid because he has assumed those additional duties, and it is fair and just to do so.
Is there an answer somewhere in my question? I'm sorry.
The answer is that the only opinions on this point say that he should be paid the rate of the full-time district attorney.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to sit here and think about this a minute. And if you folks have got questions, just time to ask them.
Mr. Lazaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. You know, my concern is everything that Lee asked and a little bit more. I don't remember when this salary became $197,000. So when did that salary go up to $197,000? Does anyone have an answer to that?
That went up sometime after the first of the year in 2018 when the 2018 judicial salaries were established.
And there's some information here that we have a local law the local law, it seems to be written very legalistically, it's very nebulous, doesn't really go anywhere. The first paragraph says no, the second paragraph says yes. I believe that this board needs to take a stand and say $197,000 for a district attorney, acting or not acting, is way too much for a county of about 35,000, I believe. Is that close enough? Would everyone agree to that? When they talk about a threshold in the law that says, that states that this doesn't have to be put forward in a county under 50,000, and then there's something that refers to 500,000. I just think the salary is egregiously high for that position. I believe that when I first got on the board, and I believe it was 14, does anyone have the numbers of what the salary was then and what it's gone to now? I believe it's been increased a lot. I believe that at one time, when this first salary went to a full-time position early on, probably about 2005, 2006, I believe, maybe a little earlier than that, the salary was right around $112,000, and that would mean that in 15 years it went up almost $90,000. That's a pretty steep increase. Who makes the recommendations on these?
What do you mean?
Who makes the recommendations on the salary of the judges?
The state set up the judicial salary advisory board to do that.
And the advisory board is appointed by whom?
I believe it's appointed by the governor and the chief justice.
And the governor and chief justice generally don't raise salaries or do things like this unless someone's lobbying them. And since judges and lawyers, judges and DAs aren't supposed to act as political creatures outside the election time, who do you think's lobbying these people to raise their salaries? I think it's a travesty, and I will be voting no. And that's all I have to say on it. And I think also the second thing is the local law we have, the court rulings are all nebulous, where I feel confident that my no vote is a good vote, and I will not be voting on this. It's way, way too high for a county such as Seneca County.
Mr. Kaiser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Personal opinions on salaries or not, notwithstanding a lot of salaries, I'm on the record is questioning. To be clear, we have a local law, besides case law from 1960, as you say. We have a local law in place now that specifies that the county attorney will be paid, or district attorney acting will be paid the same as...
No, your county law says that the district attorney's position is paid at the rate of the county judge.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. So thank you for correcting me. So that's the law that we have currently on the books, and as I understand it from what you say, and excuse me for paraphrasing, if we want to make that change, it would have to be done in the following term, applied to the following term.
That's correct.
Okay. That's all. Okay, that clears it up for me. Thank you.
Any other questions or opinions?
Can I make a motion to table this?
Make a motion.
Can I make a motion to table this?
Motion to
Oh, wait a minute. Be on the committee, don't you? He is on the committee.
He is?
No, he already said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public safety and criminal justice.
No, he's not on the committee. Does the committee member want to make it or not? You actually voted this in back in 18 then. The rule's always been it's the county judge, so if you want to lower the county judges also now?
197,000 was
So
the last
what we
count.
do is the attorney told us when the time is if you want to do it. That's my opinion. So, go ahead.
Yes, county attorney. So people are thinking that the DA and the judge are paid too much. What you're telling us, legal opinion, is that we can't change anything now. What year would we be able to take a look at that? 2021? Sorry, I didn't write it down.
My recollection is that the next term of the district attorney is up for election in fall of 21.
Yeah. Very good.
So the term that would commence in January 1 of 2022. Sometime between now and December of 21, you could amend, modify, repeal, do something else with local law number 5, and you would have to address, whether or not you have a full-time district attorney or not, and what the rate of pay would be. What I am suggesting to you, and notwithstanding what Supervisor Lazaro has said, is that there is an ambiguity between the judiciary law and the county law, but the ambiguity is not something that I'm comfortable telling you is you can set whatever salary you want. I'm not telling you you can't. But I have, in terms of past litigation for salaries involving full-time positions, and I will tell you that the litigation of the question of under 40,000 population does not exist. But how that would happen, what the outcome would be, I could not venture a guess. But I have found that almost in any litigation in the past, whether it's been for full-time salaries for district attorneys that were in counties that met the statutory provision, or for restrictions on assigned counsel or public defenders, I can't think of a time when those cases were not found in favor of the pay raise or the salary, the existing salary or the entitlement. That's just my experience and recollection.
Thank you.
Mr. Liddell, I just want to bring up the point that last year, the governor of New York State, his salary was $179,000. Now we're saying a district attorney of a county of $35,000 in New York State will make more than the governor made last year. It makes no sense to me. I will keep my vote no vote. If it makes sense to anyone else, I'm willing to listen, but it makes no sense to me.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on this matter? Do I hear a motion to do this? Committee?
Did you have one?
No, you need a motion, and I didn't hear one anymore.
You don't have a motion?
No.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other further business to be brought up at the public safety? Jeremy?
Okay, that concludes our committee meetings. I'll offer a 5-minute recess before we call for the board meeting. Thank you.